JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, November 13th, 9:16:17 on this fine morning. Talk quick about the market, some names I'm looking at, go from there. S&P futures in the red. It was actually green for most of the overnight hours, and then Europe open, things reversed into the red, and then we've been kind of in meltdown mode ever since. SPY just hit 680. So the S&P's down, Nasdaq's down about 0.6%, S&P's down about 0.4%. Small caps down about 0.75%. We'll see. Is this the start of that great bubble, that AI bubble? Is it bursting, right? I mean, it seems the chatter is just insane how much it's picked up pace, at least over the last couple of weeks. Nonstop. The latest, I mean, obviously the Big Short fame, Michael Burry, that 13F filing coming out showing his put position in Palantir and NVDA. Overnight or yesterday afternoon, I guess there's a filing. He removed his filing. He's not a fund anymore. He dissolved his fund or what have you. Supposedly there's some letter going around saying he's dissolving his fund. And then he came out to kind of combat those folks who are saying he has a nearly $1 billion short on Palantir and NVIDIA, when in all reality, it's a $9 million position cost-wise, right? That's what it cost him. The notional value, meaning the strikes and the positions, is $1 billion if he's on the hook. So pretty much, to put that in comparison, that's like me owning, 100 of Booking.com $5,000 contracts, right? So 100 of those, if I have to exercise them in the money, is $500 million worth of stock, right? But the cost basis might be if you get the contracts for 50 cents and if 5,500 calls, the cost basis for me would not be much, minuscule. But if I had to exercise them, then you're on the hook for it. So it kind of like skews the argument there. They think he has all this money on just betting against it, where it is still substantial amount of money. But anyway, so cause him to dissolve the fund. I don't know if he's doing it more to get out of the limelight, or if the performance, and who knows when he got those positions, are they underwater? Did he already close them, right? That would be the other thing. If he was already forced to close because some of those names have up over the last 3 months, who knows when he got his NVIDIA puts? I mean, so anyway, needless to say, that's been the whole chatter. So to me, and I put, Google Trends has always been a thing that I used to look at back in the past. Now that there's so much data, so readily available, so easy to find things nowadays. Back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, you had to kind of like know different ways to get data, and then figure things out to be ahead of the curve, right? The biggest way to make money in the market is to know things before everybody else does, right? So that's that's trends for AI bubble, right? And you could see the pickup in interest over the last couple months. So like if we're in an AI bubble, you would think, like, wouldn't the market have priced some of that in? Would be so. My other thought here is, like, if we're not, or we're still in the early innings, like maybe we're going to have some kind of really blow off top at some point. So can't rule that out either. But of course, this morning things looking a little weak at the moment. With government shutdown finally over, right? I'm not saying that should have been a tailwind for the markets, but at least we got that uncertainty out of the way. So what do we move on to next? And to me, obviously, Wednesday is the big event. NVIDIA earnings will be Wednesday after the close. There's going to be tons of chatter over the weekend. And then hopefully this can get all put to rest, right? I wouldn't say put the rest AFO. We'll move on to something else. But anyway, so overall markets, I talk about support resistance. 679, big spot today. We'll see if that can hold. Got down there just a little while ago. 685 on the upside. If for some reason we have some pull here today, you can't rule things out, right? I mean, even last week we had those pulls. No news, no catalyst. The S&P was down 1%. Can't rule out something to the downside. 673 is a big spot where I would get a little aggressive on the put side, right? That's overall market. Some other things to look at. Yields went down yesterday. 10-year under getting closer back to 4%. We'd love to see under 4% at some point. And then the market breadth. And I don't know why I have the chart here, but just this week, 18% of the S&P is back over its 50-day moving average, right? Big move, even with the market not doing too much this week. So that argument about market breadth, well, all right, so that's overall market. Just quick on individual names. Netflix, I can't remember the last time I traded Netflix calls. It was a name I was watching last week on its split news. You had to think it was going to run up into the split, and the split's not affected. The actual split will not be in place till Monday. That's when we'll see it back at $100. But finally, it was melting higher Friday, melting higher Monday, melting higher Tuesday. So it was kind of melting higher, but then finally some follow through yesterday over its 200-day moving average. and it had relative strength. So the market was weak and Netflix was strong. So I thought, hey, this looks like it's going to have continuation. And if we get a bounce in the market, it's going to really take off. So got the calls. It was 11:40, went all the way up to 11:50, and mid to 11:50s, and all the way up to 11:64 before pulling back, closing at 11:57, up nearly 2%. Closed some of my calls for 100%, and then close to 200% at the end of the day. I was on the rant, and I was going to hold all the rest of the calls into the next day, but you just never know, right? And the thing is, it can get down to 11:30, and the premiums will be squashed. So I didn't want that to happen. Then it was running up overnight. I think it hit 1165 earlier. We'll see how it trades here today. It's pretty much flat as a pancake. If the market finds footing today and tomorrow, I can see it trading north of $1,200. The 50-day moving average 1178. On the flip side, I mean, if things get weak, it's not going to matter. So I'll be quick to pull the trigger here at the open. If it doesn't find footing, shows weakness, maybe 1153 or so, I'll close those calls out and revisit. That's Netflix. Lemonade, and it seems like every name yesterday hit highs at 9:45 a.m. Lemonade all the way I think it was 4 or 5 year highs yesterday, 83.74, almost up to $84. I closed the last of my 90 strikes out for 100%. I was saying on the rant yesterday, it almost looks like a bull flag setting up here. We'll see if it holds, right? And the big part of the bull flag is consolidation. So if it continues to consolidate, you can make the case it's going to trade 105, 110 in the coming weeks. So we'll see how the market holds up here. If it holds up here today and Lemonade finds a bid, might look for some more strikes there. Solar Edge, back-to-back red sessions, down nearly 5% yesterday. Considering it's near 50% move from its earnings, you have to think there's some profit taking at some point. Just don't want to see that accelerate, right? So put on the watch list, maybe 42. It's 41.89 here. Just holding the freebie November 21st and 28 strikes at some point, maybe today. If it doesn't find footing, I'll close all those out and just hold the Januaries. They're all free with plenty of profits. So the other thing is, I think once it gets some mojo again, and especially if it breaks $48, I think I could see it trading substantially higher. Set Solar Edge. Obviously, the elephant in the room here, I was going to say the elephant in the room, but SERV Robotics reported earnings after the close. Did the same thing it did last earnings in August. The news release didn't even come out and the stock was selling off. It's like the shorts, they know they play this game over and over on all these other names. They know how it works, especially on the illiquid small cap name. Pressure it even before the news comes out. And the thing with SERV, it's not really an earnings story in the post. It had a slight miss in revenues. EPS missed a little bit too, but it's the 2026 and beyond story, right? So they did announce their deployment of 2,000 robots is ahead of schedule, so that'll happen sometime in December. So that's good news. They reaffirmed guidance of over 1,000% top line growth in 2026, and just all good stuff. So it's in here at $10. We'll see what happens at the open. Thankfully, I didn't add any FOMO calls yesterday on top of my December strikes and all the other strikes I'm holding into January 26. I mean, into 2026, including Januaries and Marches. If it holds ground here at the open and starts to go red to green, I might look for some strikes, some more strikes. Otherwise, I'll just be patient and then start nibbling on some calls into 2026. I don't think the story's changed. So I think it trades $20 in the coming first couple months, 2026. Now on the flip side here, I'm still open to both sides of the tape. I posted yesterday too. I don't know if I did yesterday. I think I did. But SanDisk is like a proxy for risk, in my opinion, right? So when I say that, I mean, a lot of names in the AI space have taken on the chin. You look at Oracle. I mean, it was 325. Well, it's 345 after its earnings. And that's down $100 from that. And it's been kind of slowly melting down here at 224. But you look at, even Palantir, which Palantir is not substantially off its highs, but it's down here at 184. Well, actually, it's 180 now in the pre-market. But even with all those names selling off, it's like there's names that are kind of holding up well. And look at SanDisk, up another 4% yesterday. And, I post this kind of like a proxy for market sentiment, because I think if it holds up and it could trade green, I think that means that the AI situation is not done, right? And some of these names have sold off. It's just more just a function of people taking some profits before the next leg. If the next shoe drops and you start seeing SanDisk, which is down here at 268, it was 283 to close yesterday, doesn't find a bid today, maybe that's a sign that there might be more downside here today. So it's funny, I was looking at the puts, maybe the 245s or even lower 240s, because if it does have some kind of pull, if I can find a decent, inexpensive put hedge, I might look for some crazy ones on SanDisk. Not because that's where I think it's going. I hope it doesn't. But if things do get weak and that starts to pull, you could see it trade down 15, 20% in a 2-day session span. So don't be surprised if I look for some crazy ones on that, as well as ASML and Lam Research. Just like last week, I'll use those kind of as a hedge at first. And then if we do break support, 673 is a big spot. Like I keep saying on the SPY, if that breaks, I'll be a little more aggressive. And I think that's it. I still have the lottos on RH, line calls into next week as well, still holding those freebies. So I'll continue to look for opportunities on the call side as well. All right, so have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.